In a world where running a marathon is still impressive but no longer extraordinary, there are ultramarathons. In a world where races are held on forest trails, on treacherous terrain, in almost any conditions imaginable, maniacs and savages run through these woods for 30 miles, sometimes 50, 100, and up to 200 miles. In a world where it seems like even running an ultramarathon has become commonplace, one man says, "Okay, but so what if it was 10 ultramarathons in 10 different states? Did anyone already do that?" This summer, embark on the journey of a low-level savage as he attempts his 7th ultramarathon in the 7th state. Follow his tangential train of thought as he reviews what came before and what lies ahead. The finale, the 10th Ultra in the 10th state, named the hardest 50K in North America, a race which strikes legitimate fear in his heart. And for better or worse, he signed up. Next spring, one man will attempt the race of his life. But for the next 9 months, it makes everything else feel like a trailer for that race. However, if there's one thing this man has learned, it's to focus on the present. And on August 23rd, he will need everything he's got for this race. Journey to the Ozarks of Illinois for a multi-race event of epic proportions, presented by Stacked Supplements and held at Camp Ondessonk. Experience Shawnee National Forest, stay in a rustic treehouse cabin, and run through a lot of rocks and mud. Be careful not to underestimate the course profile based on its elevation, and be sure to prepare for bees, mosquitoes, ground hornets, and snakes. This summer, on August 23rd, get ready for the hardest ultra that looked like it was gonna be kinda easy at first. For an ultra. Not that they're easy, but starring Joey B. Written by Joey B. Edited and directed by, well, you see where we're going with this. If you're ready to test your agility all day long on a course that horses destroyed, then just maybe you can sign up for the Shawnee Hills Trail Races 50K in Ozark, Illinois.
Watching some videos last night, man.
Oh, you getting pumped up?
I was enjoying them.
Thank you.
They were good.
Appreciate it. Well, this is bound to be a good one.
Well, good morning. It's a beautiful day in Illinois, and I'm at mile 2 of a 32-mile trek through Shawnee National Forest. I'm excited as an East Coast runner. I'm not sleeping on this course. I'm taking it very seriously today. Of course, everyone would love to set a new personal best every race, but it's not for nothing this time, because the quest for the crest claims to be the most difficult 50K in North America. They said take your personal best and double it and then some. Right now, my personal best is just under 7 hours, and that was at the last race, the Catamount Ultra 50K in Stowe, Vermont. That was a beautiful course. You should check that link out in the description. So I thought that today was gonna be one of those like, let's have a nice, fun ultramarathon and 3,000 feet of elevation. I'm like, oh, only 3,000 feet. Well, I've done 8,000. Quest for the Crest is gonna be 12,000, so I should be able to shred this course, right? Wrong. Wrong, according to everyone that I'm talking to in the days before the race. So I just went off the course, but only by about a minute. I realized pretty soon, the course is very well marked. It's not like the Sharp Top 50K where I got lost for like an hour. That was my own fault though. That course was very well marked too. So again, not that I was taking this race lightly, but I was looking at it on paper thinking this is easier than some of the other races I've done. The one thing I was worried about was the heat though. And I knew that it could have been like 95 degrees or something. And some years it was. But this year, oh, dodged the bullet, baby, yeah! We are looking at a high today of like 85 degrees. That's not even hot. When I talk to the people around here, I'm like, I'm from the Philly area. They're like, oh, that's much cooler. You're from the cool area. I'm like, I guess it still gets hot. I've been training in the heat. It's been in the 90s. What, you don't think I run in the heat? Check this out. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, it's not even gonna be hot. I should be able to tear this course up, right? Again, wrong. At the pre-race meeting last night, there was the course guy. The course guy specifically said, yeah, on paper it looks easy, but it's not. Horses have destroyed this course, he said. Meaning, I think the footing is gonna be very bumpy. It wasn't just him. Everyone was seeming to say, this is a tough course, it's rough. So the area where I live is about 90 minutes away from the Appalachian Trail. And that's a trail that goes all the way from Georgia to Maine. And it has some of the most rugged terrain on the East Coast. And I've done a couple races in that area. In Connecticut, the Macedonia 50K, very rugged. In New Jersey, the Terror of Tammany, earlier this year. I mean, I could barely run through most of that. It was just rocks, spiky, big boulders you gotta step carefully in between. And then the Lehigh Gap, Pennsylvania. That's where the Appalachian Trail crosses the Lehigh River. And there's a mountain on either side. And I've made a couple training videos there. And that's where I go on the last day of training to really max out the intensity. That's the toughest stuff that I know of to run on. So, as long as it's not as bad as that, so far I've been able to run the whole time. And I could see what he said about the horses. There's some spots where it's just all mud. It's like a minefield of hoof prints. You gotta be careful and slow down a little bit. But not compared to Rocksylvania though. I'd like to think that my rugged East Coast training has prepared me to do well here, but we'll see. Time to go to work for a while. I wanna go fast in the early morning hours while it's still cool. By the time it gets to 80 degrees, it's gonna be like 11 a.m. So I'm gonna do a lot of damage now. Check back later. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Get up.
See ya. All right. Mile 12 and leaving the Jackson Falls aid station and back on the road. About 2.5 hours into this. I'm feeling really good so far. I'm already on my second GoPro battery, but I think I'm managing that pretty well too. Ultramarathons are all about managing your resources, but it's true what you heard about the GoPro batteries. They do drain pretty fast. However, this channel would never be possible without the GoPro. So shout out to the GoPro. I got 3 batteries. That's been enough in the past. I tried to simulate what it feels like to run an ultra course. If I'm signing up for a trail race, especially an ultramarathon, I want it to be a good looking course. So I want, you know, raw natural beauty, amazing landscapes. I usually judge it on the Lord of the Rings scale. I would have to give this a hard 7. Just to be clear though, 7 is a really good score. I'm a strict grader on the Lord of the Rings scale. I mean, Pennsylvania, very Lord of the Rings territory.
The hour grows late. Smoke rises from the Mountain of Doom, and Gandalf the Grey rides to Isengard, seeking my counsel. For that is why you have come, is it not, my old friend? Saruman!
And when I did the Blue Hill Mountain 50K in Maine last year, I mean, I had to give that a 10. That's what I think of as a 10. And then Connecticut, I got close. That was about a 9. So I didn't know what to expect coming out into the Midwest. I thought it might be, you know, more like the Shire type Lord of the Rings area. Nah, we got some rugged stuff here. Shawnee, you have my respect. All right, so this race has a lot of good things going for it. But what is the biggest selling point? Well, I would have to say the fact that it is a 50-kilometer course. But that's not always the case. And in my opinion, every time you add on another loop, you're losing something that makes it special about the epic journey and everything. Now, you know, no disrespect. If we could only do, you know, 1-loop courses, there would be a lot less races that I could do. Because barring any kind of disaster, this will be my 7th ultramarathon finish today. But I DNF'd earlier this year in New Jersey. That was a brutal course, the Terror of Tammany. Got to go up and down this mountain 5 times, and it was below freezing. So this is the 8th ultra course that I've run on. However, it's only the 3rd course that is 150-kilometer distance. That just adds a lot to the sense of the journey and the accomplishment and just the feeling of like I went way out there. Again, like Lord of the Rings. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, creek crossing. That was a fun creek crossing. Not like the Hat Run 50K. My first ultramarathon was supposed to be a creek crossing like the one you just saw, and instead it was this, because it rained all night before the race and during the race. And this was in March. It was really cold, and that part was terrible. And that was a 2-loop course, and that was so bad I think they were afraid we were gonna get washed away. They closed down that section on the 2nd loop. But it made for a good part of the video. Mile 17 and feeling okay. Not great, but better than a few minutes ago, actually. mile 23 and running again. Yeah, feeling pretty good now. Although, after the Cedar Road aid station, I feel like I was walking for a good 45 minutes or something, but I had to do what I had to do, because that is the department that I need the most improvement, managing my stomach. And now that the number of miles left is in the single digits, that's when I give myself permission to start thinking about the end of the race. And things like how good it's going to be to sleep later. Speaking of that, time to give a shout out to Camp Ondessonk, a beautiful little campground that is hosting this race. And that's where the start and finish line is. They give you the option of staying in one of their treehouse cabins if you want to stay over. That's included in the price of admission.
Do you think I took it? Yeah. Check this out.
Definitely one of the coolest camping experiences I've had, though. To have your own personal cabin back in the trees with those giant rocks right there and everything. It did get down into the 60s at night, so I could sleep just fine. Again, dodged a bullet on that weather. I mean, look at the weekly forecast. The temperature went down just in time. Mile 26 and feeling good, yeah! close enough to hear music. But I still don't feel up for running. I'm hurting now. Feeling pretty weak. But I'm in the last mile, so whatever. Finally! Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, it's Sunday morning. It's about 8:30 a.m. and I'm finally about to leave Camp Ondessonk. I'm sad because not only was it a great time, and I'm sad to leave those amazing treehouse units, but I was supposed to be on the road hours upon hours ago, and I was hoping to leave in the middle of the night, but things didn't exactly go to plan, let's say. There was no way I was going to drive back to Philly without enough sleep and food. And after the race, I thought I was going to be able to get right to the eating, and there was no eating to be had after the race. I couldn't even move for about 30 minutes. Then I cleaned up and got a shower and went back to the treehouse. I could lay down and I felt better, except it was still in the 80s at that point. So I was laid down for about 3 hours. I might have slept for an hour or two. But by the time I ate, it was like midnight. This raccoon was staking me out too. I had to like leave the campsite and come back up to like the finish line area to eat my food. But now I've eaten breakfast. I feel somewhat normal again, and then we'll recap the stats and everything later. But final thoughts. Thank you, Camp Ondessonk, and Stacked. This race was stacked, and check out that finisher medal. Very nice. All right, well, a week later, back in Pennsylvania, I'm at Ridley Creek itself, and I'm finally getting around to cleaning my shoes. Want to see how dirty they got? Pretty impressive. Now the bottom is like nothing, but yeah, pretty impressive level of dirt there. The Shawnee though was not too bad actually. I thought it was muddy, but it was kind of like hardened enough that you could run on top of it if you were pretty agile. I'd like to think I have pretty good balance for a guy, pretty good agility, good enough that I was able to maintain the running motion the whole time, and I felt like I was at a smooth pace and smooth motion the whole time. So I felt good about that, but I was definitely prepared by some of the other races I had done in the past. Now look at him. Good as new. I mean, this is the kind of race that if this was the first one I had done, or if I wasn't taking it absolutely seriously, or I think I'm gonna show up and, sleepwalk through it, I could have got walloped hard. If you take Shawnee compared to, say, the West Virginia Trail Fest in the heart of West Virginia, the Full Moon 60K, and that race had over double the elevation of Shawnee. It had over 7,000 feet, but it was mostly fire roads and stuff. It was pretty easy to run on. I mean, that was maybe comparable in difficulty to Shawnee, where you're really getting taxed hard throughout the race. Now, of course, the race overall was difficult, and at the very end, you had to go up this ski slope. The finish line was at a ski resort at the top of a mountain. Well, with this finish, That makes one step closer to my ultimate goal, which is 10 ultramarathons in 10 different states. And that was number 7. So, it's a big deal and we're getting close now. Now, number 10, the grand finale to this phase of my life that I've called Ultramania. That's gonna be the Quest for the Crest next year in May in North Carolina. I'm really nervous about that one. Number 9 is gonna be the Terror of Tammany rematch, where I DNF'd in New Jersey earlier this year. I want to take that back. And then that leaves one more ultramarathon this year, and that's coming up relatively soon on November 1st in the state of Virginia. Ultra number 8, the Mountain Masochist 50K. Boy, they don't mess around when they say things like masochist. So I am going to be very busy for about the next 9 months. And hopefully if all goes well, I'm going to finish those 10 ultras and I don't know what comes next.